Hi everyone, Fraser here from the Most Dangerous Podcast. If you've been enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps us to reach more people like you who love the show. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at The Most Dangerous Pod and join the conversation on Facebook at The Most Dangerous Podcast. For those of you who want to go the extra mile, we're on Buy Me a Coffee. So if you'd like to support the show with a small donation, it would mean the world to us. And if you have any suggestions or feedback and want to get in touch, you can email us at jamesandfraserpod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
People come here to listen to interesting things about horrible stuff. So hello and welcome back to the Most Dangerous Podcast as we continue our journey through the most dangerous or some of the most dangerous aspects of nature. Fraser, how are you this week?
I'm good, yeah. I've had a really busy week. I've talked about me setting up my new little business, a year ago now, maybe over a year. Today's the first week that I actually worked every single day, had shutters to fit every day, so it's been a good week.
Well, that's good.
Busy. Everyone's paid me, so I've got money.
That's
not a lot, but some.
Yeah,
like I paid my VAT this evening, stuff like that. It was nice. It was nice.
Fun times.
Yeah,
what a way to spend a Friday evening.
I know. But we keep talking about the last month. The sort of flavour of the month has been my new puppy that keeps pissing us off during these podcasts, trying to record, and she's making farting sounds and stuff like that. So this evening, my wife Laura and the girls, as they do on a Friday, went to cheerleading. So I said to Teddy, little monster, I said, let's take the dog for a nice long walk. Took her out, nice long walk. Lovely kind of night. It was a little bit drizzly, but it was all right. And he's out in his little push bike. So I was sort of saying to him, look, you need to be careful, and this is how you cross the roads. And he's only 3. So we stop at the side of the road. I'm going, look left, look right. Oh, wait, Teddy, here's a little car coming. Oh, see the car coming up the road. There's this little old lady. No, it's a little old guy driving, little old lady in the passenger seat. Coming round the corner, she smiles at Teddy, gives him a little wave. He gives her a smile and then sticks the V's up at her. And the woman...
Where's he learnt that from?
He's got 4 older siblings, hasn't he? So
that's true.
But it was the woman's face. It went from smiling to thunder in like a second. So I don't know. Is giving the V's? Will our American friends know what giving the V's are?
I don't think they do it over there, do they?
Yeah,
it's the finger.
Yeah, basically flip them off. That's the American one, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, my
very
3-year-old.
nice. Very nice for a 3-year-old to be doing that in the street.
Yeah, I was both ashamed and proud at the same time. It was like a weird feeling.
Oh well, yeah, he's going to be a tearaway, isn't he?
He already is.
Yeah.
Oh, he flushed the dog down the toilet tonight.
Oh, did he?
The puppy, yeah, I heard this. I went out and the puppy was running about, getting water everywhere, and there was water all over the toilet seat and everything. What did you do? I flushed her down the toilet.
Is he Irish?
For some reason, whenever I do his voice, it is Irish. Since he was a baby, he's always had a fake Irish accent. But yeah, he flushed the dog down the toilet, so he's a little shit.
Yes, but the psychopath. Maybe he's going to be a serial killer when he grows up.
Well, his name's Teddy. I call him Ted Bundy, as he likes to hurt animals. So how's your week been, James?
Okay. I've not done anything, to be honest. No,
really?
Boring. I can't even think of anything to tell you that's interesting.
Yeah.
So just looking forward to the football back on this weekend.
Yes, yeah.
I've got nothing to do this weekend apart from that. Yeah, really not done anything at all of any interest. That's how boring my life is.
Fantastic. Just lost a couple of subscribers there.
Yeah, there we go. Well, they don't want to hear what I'm doing anyway.
You say that. Yeah, they're not interested. They want to hear what you've got tonight.
That's it. Yeah, what I've got tonight. So tonight, Fraser, I think I mentioned it last week. I've decided to focus on the subject of worms.
Worms, I can't wait. I'm glad I've already eaten.
I know, yeah, I was going to say, they're pretty grim. They're fucking horrible worms, aren't they?
Well, we talked this week. Nature, I have now decided, is a shit subject, and I wish I hadn't put it in because it's so big that you think, okay, nature, right? Well, I'll do a big flood. Well, hang on, that's a natural disaster. Oh, well, I'll do the plague. Well, hang on, that's a disease. It's like nature's really difficult to actually.
Well,
pick
yeah, I agree.
subject
Like
from.
it's kind of everything, isn't it?
Yeah,
So you can pick anything, but I think we wanted to do. That's why I've kind of gone down more the sort of animal route. I think.
yeah,
Animal plants and animals. Because I know you fungus last week, didn't you?
yeah.
So I think that's what the angle that we've gone down really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. It's a bit of a shitty subject, but we're here. We're halfway through after tonight, so well, there's not much we can do about it now, is there?
Can't wait.
Okay, so should we just get cracking then?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the way that I've done this is I've got some sort of I've sort of got a list of general worms. There's loads of them, you know what I mean? There's like loads of, like, what we're looking at here is more sort of like the parasite side of worms, not your sort of earthworm, Jim, nice worm. This is more the fucking horrible bastards that live in you and suck your blood and shit.
I was going to ask you, do worms include maggots, or are maggots a type of worm, or are maggots something different? Are they a larvae?
A larvae, I think, aren't they? Yeah.
Right. Okay.
There's no maggots in here.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, I didn't include maggots. But I think, yeah, they're more sort of like, because they're like eggs, aren't they? Maggots. They're like living eggs.
Yeah, the maggot's not the final thing. Whereas the worm's the final creature, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, these are all worms. So I'm going to run through some of the sort of, you might have come across these before, and then I've got two major worms that I've sort of focused on, which are probably the more, or the worst of the worst of the bunch, I think.
Excellent.
So the first one that I've got tonight is the pinworm. You may have heard of, particularly with children, they're very common in children, pinworms.
I was going to say these are a child thing when you go,
oh
no, they've got worms, and then everyone in the family has to drink that rank stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I think they're also known as threadworms. So they're really small and white. They're parasitic worms that live and infect the intestines of humans, especially children. They cause a common condition known as enterobiasis, or pinworm infection.
Right.
So I'm just going to call it that. There's the dog going off already. And what happens is they live in the intestines of humans, usually children, and at night the adult female pinworm migrates to the anal region and lays her eggs there.
Nice.
So it sort of pops its head out your arse and sort of lays eggs all around your bum hole, and then this leads to intense itching around the anus, and obviously that can cause severe discomfort and disrupt sleep. Yeah,
I've been there. I've got kids.
Yeah, so you know all of it. Yes, everyone has to drink that stuff. Yeah.
So am I stepping on your toes? Is it true that then you scratch your arse and then you get the eggs under your fingers and then you transfer them to other things?
Yes, it's pretty much. Yeah, so they're highly contagious. They spread easily through. It can be through surfaces, bedding, clothing, person to person contact. So if you ingest, I don't know, your kid could scratch its ass, pick up an apple, and then put it back in the fruit bowl, and then you grab it later and eat it. So then you've got worms. They're not generally dangerous, just more irritating. I mean, particularly for children, if they can't sleep and stuff, they get annoying, don't they? Yeah. And then, like you say, treatment is just sort of anti-parasitic medication. They're very common.
My kids have had them, and they one sip of the medicine, they're gone. It works quite fast. But can I just say, they're horrible little things, but what an absolutely amazing accomplishment of evolution that these tiny little worms that have got probably no conscious thought or anything at all have learned to come out of the arse and lay their eggs around like your bumhole, so that you then scratch and make it itchy. So you scratch your bumhole and then you transfer the eggs in other places.
Yeah, it's very, very clever, isn't it?
Wonderful, isn't it? Really?
It's not wonderful, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like
what a wonder of nature.
It is. Yeah. What a great idea.
Yeah. So I wouldn't like to be a pinworm though.
Yeah. There's a fish that lives in a sea cucumber's anus.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a fish that specifically looks for a sea cucumber and works its way in its asshole and lives in there.
Didn't know sea cucumbers had arseholes.
Yeah, I think they're just an arsehole, really. But
they look like I don't know, an appendix, don't
they? Yeah, they're a bit weird.
Anyway, moving on. So that's the first one. So the second one, you'll know about this one as well, I think, because you've got animals. A heartworm.
Yes, heard of it then.
Yeah, so they affect primarily dogs and cats, but they can, in rare cases, affect humans. So when you first get a young animal, a puppy or a kitten, you take them for injections, and one of the injections is to do with this, I think. It's to stop them getting this. So the worms are transmitted through the bite of an infected mosquito or other sort of parasitic animals like that. And they live in the heart and lungs and associated blood vessels of the host, leading to heartworm disease. So they affect animals. In dogs, the worms can grow up to about 12 inches long. And they can cause serious damage, as you can imagine, to the heart and lungs. Leading symptoms such as coughing, fatigue, difficulty breathing, and in severe cases, heart failure.
I was going to say that's not a wonder of nature, because surely the ideal parasite is a parasite that doesn't harm the host because it needs the host.
Because keeps it alive.
Yeah.
So it can carry on feeding off it, I guess so.
Like a good parasite kind of just lives hand in hand with you.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point in them destroying the heart and then you die? And
it's severe cases, I guess, untreated. Yeah,
stupid worms.
Daft worm. Yeah. So heartworm disease. Is preventable with regular use of heartworm medication. But as I say, if left untreated, it can be fatal, particularly in dogs.
Okay.
So that's another one down. So you don't need to worry too much about that one, because as I say, it's in rare cases it affects humans.
Yeah.
It can, but it's usually animals, so don't be too concerned. Third one on our list here is, I'm going to have trouble saying this now, Ascarius. Ascarius. So this is a large parasitic roundworm that infects the intestines of humans, causing a condition known as ascariasis.
Bloody hell.
It's probably completely wrong, but it's something like that. It's one of the most common human worm infections, particularly in areas with poor sanitation and hygiene.
Right.
So the eggs of the worm are ingested through contaminated food, water, it says here, or soil, but don't eat mud. Once inside the body, the eggs hatch into larvae, which migrate through the body down into the intestines, where they mature into adult worms. As before, the worm can grow up to 12 inches long. It lives in the intestines, and it causes symptoms such as abdominal pain, nausea, diarrhea, and in severe cases, intestinal blockages or malnutrition. Okay. It's kind of taking all your nutrients out of you.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. Again, it can be treated with various medications. So it's quite a common one. That the usual kind of, as you imagine, the parasitic worm just sort of lives in your gut and sits there and eats all your food, steals your food off you.
Yeah, it just lives in your shit, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just sits there.
When you were saying about like poor hygiene and stuff like that, have you ever, now, I mean, no harm to people of this country, have you ever watched like the street food videos of India, where you see them like mixing curries with their bare hands and stuff like that? And
like literally sat on the street.
Yeah.
I think that's where the sort of famous Delhi belly comes from, isn't it?
Yeah.
You eat stuff like that.
No, I know that,
it does look really, some of it looks really nice though.
Yeah.
Like you think, that looks dead tasty, and then you kind of like, well, I don't know if I'd eat that though.
I think there's probably a lot of these kind of worms going about there.
And a lot in Africa as well, where they don't have sort of clean water and things like that.
True, yeah, they're drinking that rank water.
Yeah.
Yeah, you realise how lucky you've got it when you think about things like that.
Yeah, well, that'll be us soon if they keep dumping shit in the water.
True.
So, and then just finally on the sort of top of the pops, we have got whipworm.
Whipworm. Wow.
Yeah, so this is again a parasitic roundworm that infects the large intestines of humans. It causes a condition known as, now bear with me, trichuriasis, because I think that's taken from the Latin name, which I'm not going to even bother trying. So it gets its name from its whip-like shape. So it's got a narrow thread-like front and then a thicker end back bit.
Oh, right.
And the infection occurs when people ingest the eggs through water, food. They lay eggs in the soil as well, so you mess about in the soil and then put your hands in your mouth.
Yeah,
you might get it.
So we've got this sand pit in our garden, and it must be fucking rank. It's been there for about 3 years.
Yeah,
and Teddy sometimes comes in with a mouthful of sand, and you're like, Teddy, cats must have shat in that and everything.
Yeah, well, there was one that I came across that specifically comes from animal shit, like dog shit. You know, when like you were a kid and not that don't play with dog shit. Not that ever happened, but you know, like there was kind of like it's really bad if you get dog shit on your hand and your face and stuff. I don't because I was always told that it makes you go blind. But if you get dog shit in your eye, it might do, but I think it's more to do with this parasite.
Yeah,
which I've not got on this list, funnily enough.
I believe cat shit's much worse.
Yeah,
that's much more dangerous because one of the guys in Train Spotting dies because of cat shit. But you can get a really bad.
He gets a tumour, doesn't he? He gets a brain tumour because he's just.
Yeah, I think so.
Lay there.
But yeah, I remember that dog shit will make you go blind.
Yeah, might do.
But that's is that not just the same as looking at a dandelion makes you piss yourself or whatever it wasn't?
Yeah, picking one, wasn't it? Picking
a
dandelion, yeah. Maybe it might. I don't know, but there's definitely like some sort of parasitic worm that lives in dog and cat shit, which if you get in you, it's the similar sort of thing. It lives in you. Yeah. So this whipworm, once it's inside the body, the eggs hatch in the intestines again, and then the worm matures and attaches itself to the intestinal wall.
Oh dear.
So it actually feeds on the host blood and tissue fluid rather than the nutrients sort of within your body.
Yeah.
Mild infections may cause no symptoms, but then heavier infections can lead to abdominal pain again, diarrhea, weight loss, anemia, and in severe cases, it can actually cause a rectal prolapse.
Fucking hell.
Especially, so your arse literally falls out of your body, especially in children.
Wasn't it that guy that like coughed, burped, and sneezed at the same time and his arse fell out or something?
Yeah. Maybe he had these.
Yeah.
And again, they can be treated, so you don't need to worry too much. But then you don't know that you've got them until you start getting ill.
Yeah.
So that's our top of the pops of parasitic worms.
Fantastic. I've enjoyed that.
Yeah, you'd be washing your hands about 40 times a day.
I know.
Okay, yeah, so that was our top, however many it was, list. And now we move on to sort of perhaps two of the main ones, which are pretty horrible. You may have come across one of them. You definitely will have. I'm pretty sure. This one is a bit more unusual, but this is perhaps the worst one, to be honest.
Yeah.
This one's called the Guinea worm.
Guinea worm? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, you mentioned worms last week, and I think this is the one that you were talking about.
Right.
So the guinea worms are one of the most gruesome parasitic worms known to humanity. It's been affecting people for thousands and thousands of years, as I'll explain a bit later. It does cause a disease called, here we go, dracunculiasis.
Excellent.
Or guinea worm disease, which is what I'm going to use from now on.
I'm going to edit in a drum roll before you do that.
It's long been associated, as with most parasitic worms, with poverty, lack of clean drinking water, poor sanitation. Luckily, though, it was a large part of society sort of 50, 60 years ago, but now it's nearly extinct.
All right, cool.
Jimmy Carter, the US president, run a campaign back in the sort of mid-70s or something to try and get rid of it because it was affecting sort of poor communities quite badly, and they were quite successful. So not that many people are affected by guinea worm anymore.
Right. So this is like something that was in like America. This wasn't like a Africa.
No.
This was.
It was Africa and the Middle East and things like that.
Oh, right.
But it was just a US-led campaign to sort of...
Oh, just helping out. Right, okay.
Helping out, yeah. The life cycle of the worm, it's pretty horrifying. It's quite fascinating as well. So the humans become infected by drinking water contaminated with water fleas. These are called copepods. So the copepod flea. And these fleas, they harbour the guinea worm larvae. And then the person drinks the water. And then once inside the human digestive system, the larvae are released as the stomach acid dissolves these fleas.
Right.
And the larvae sort of gets released out of these fleas, escapes. It doesn't get affected by the stomach acid.
How clever.
And then migrates through the body and then into the intestines. In fact, it goes all over the body. And then over the course of about a year, the female worm matures and it can grow up to about 3 foot.
Fucking hell.
So once the female is fully mature, it makes its way about 3 foot. It makes its way through the body to the lower extremities, and then it looks for like an opening, and it bursts its way through the skin of a human.
Yeah.
So the person gets a really painful blister where the worm's sort of trying to break out, and eventually it does sort of break through the skin and makes its way out of wherever it may be in the body.
Yeah.
So because it's so painful, victims often seek relief by submerging the infected area in water. And this then triggers the worm to release thousands of larvae into the water and then continue in the circle of infection because the larvae then go onto the fleas.
Jesus. That's it's similar to, it's not the same thing, but it's similar to that one I said took over insects.
Was it? Yeah.
Where it just makes the insect go into water. But it's different. These are only a couple inches long, these things.
Oh, really? Yeah. So imagine like a 3 foot worm breaking out of your skin. And it's all of a sudden you've got this really painful blister on wherever it may be on your body. And a worm's coming out of it. It's just like...
It's horrible.
It's alien stuff, this, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And it's sometimes, you kind of think, I'm kind of glad I live in quite a mundane country where we've got, worms that burst out your body, spiders that kill you, all these sorts of things.
I mean, you might get stung by a wasp, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I'll send you this video very quickly to have a look at. I can't because it's got fucking adverts. I'll send you the video of the insects later. It's good.
Right, okay, yeah.
Right,
so that's the sort of life cycle, if you like. So the actual process of removing the worm from a body, so once it's sort of started to break through, it can actually take several weeks because obviously it's trying to sort of slither through. And it must be, if it's being extracted, it's got to be really carefully pulled out of the body to avoid breaking it. Because if it breaks, then that leads to further infection.
Yeah, so you say when it breaks through your skin in the water, it's got no intention of leaving your body, it's just ejecting some eggs.
I guess so, yeah.
It doesn't then slither out and fuck off somewhere. So what I'm saying is you've got a little guy's face, or I suppose it'd be a female if it's laying the eggs, just staring out at you every time you have a shower. Going, all right.
For weeks, yeah. I don't know. I don't know actually whether it's sort of forcing its way just to come fully out. But yeah, it takes weeks for it to actually come out, and doctors or whatever just have to kind of. I think I go on to say they use a kind of like a pencil, sort of like wrap it round the worm, and sort of like gradually, sort of like not a pencil, but like a twig, like a stick, and sort of like wrap the worm around and sort of lift it through. So yeah, it's grim, that, isn't it?
On that Idiot Abroad, I saw an Indian man doing that with a stick and his knob.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing. Yeah. As I say, they've been around for thousands and thousands of years. They're actually mentioned in ancient texts, including Elber's Papyrus.
Okay.
So this is an ancient Egyptian text dating back to 1550 BC. So they're being written about back then. And some scholars even believe that the fiery serpent described in the Bible during the Exodus could refer to a guinea worm, given the burning sensation experienced by victims when the worm comes out.
Bloody hell.
The name guinea worm, as you can probably guess, likely originates from Guinea, which is on the west coast of Africa. It was loads of cases from over that side of the world, mostly in Africa, Middle East, parts of Asia, but now it's largely confined to a few African countries.
Right.
In many of the affected areas, guinea worm infections are just seen as a normal part of life. They just get on with it. Oh, you've got guinea worm, have you?
Yeah.
And as I mentioned just then, so the long, painful process of removing the worm is done by slowly winding it around a stick, and that method's been used for centuries.
I suppose you could just pull it a little bit at a time and keep.
Yeah, there's no other way of doing it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I suppose.
Yeah. It's fucking rank. I love. There's a things called mango worms.
Oh yeah,
that aren't really. They're more like a larvae, and I think it's flies, and they sort of inject the tiny little eggs into like an animal's paws, and as the worms, the little larvae grow, they make the paws get bigger and bigger, and you can literally squeeze a dog's fur, and all these little worms pop out, and it leaves it with like holes like a crumpet.
Oh God!
And there's a podcast we listen to, Lads Anonymous, great podcast, and one of the guys, Flav, the one that I just listened to a couple of days ago, he said there's actually a fear, there's a phobia of lots of tiny little holes.
Oh yeah.
It's a really serious like phobia, and people like that can't look at crumpets or anything. So yeah, they want to stay away from these mango worms because it's rank. But it's also really satisfying when you watch the video. They like run their thumbs down the skin, these little things are popping out.
Oh, that sounds revolting.
It's a bit like the botfly that you talked about before.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing the botfly actually.
Yeah. It's a bit like that, but there's loads of them and they're small as opposed to one big botfly thing getting pulled out.
That reminds me, I've got a newfound love for crumpets.
Have you?
Yeah, I've rediscovered them.
Wow.
So with butter and Marmite on them.
Marmite?
Yeah, it's like a new thing because I'm working from home. I actually get to have breakfast because I can't eat first thing in the morning. So I usually around sort of like 9:30, 10, a couple of crumpets.
See, I'm a pikelet person. You know, the thin ones.
Oh yeah, like pancakes or thin crumpets.
You can get things called pikelets or thin crumpets, and they're exactly the same material as a crumpet, but like half as thick.
Oh right.
Okay. So I find crumpets a bit doughy in the middle.
I know what you mean. Anyway, back to worms. Where am I? So the disease from guinea worms, it's not usually fatal. Would you call it a disease? The infection, I suppose. It's not usually fatal. Obviously, it does have an effect on the communities and things like that because if you're infected by a guinea worm, you're going to experience some intense pain. Obviously, there's fever, swelling in the area where the worm's poking out, and then obviously that's a risk. There's a risk of a secondary bacterial infection. Obviously, the skin's broken. It can leave people incapacitated for weeks or months, meaning they're unable to work, attend school, things like that, and carry out daily activities. So it's not nice, but I think it has more of an economic and social impact rather than obviously it hurts as well.
Yeah, because you'll just annoy people by moaning about it all the time.
Yeah, have you seen this? Have you seen this on my leg? As I mentioned at the top, US President Jimmy Carter and the Carter Center, he led a public health initiative, and it's been one of the most successful public health initiatives in history.
Oh dear.
So in the 1980s, there were an estimated 3.5 million cases of guinea worm annually. This was across 21 countries in Africa and Asia. However, by 2023, only a handful of cases are recorded each year, and it marks a reduction of over 99.99%.
Bloody hell.
So they're pretty much, you don't really get that many cases anymore.
Yeah, fair play to Jimmy Carter. Anytime I've ever heard about him, they always kind of ridicule him as a shit president, but I suppose he did all right.
I saw something about him the other day, and I think he's... Just bear with me 1 second. Yeah, it was the same guy. He's still alive, you know.
Is he?
He's 100 years old.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, he's just turned 100 on the 1st of October. So, yeah. And
congratulations, Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, he was president from 1977 to 1981. So he must have started the campaign when he was in office, and then in the 80s, that's when it started to take effect, I suppose.
The late 70s, early 80s, so he did really well with the worms, and then AIDS turned up, and he thought,
I've done my bit.
Yeah.
I won't go into the boring parts of the actual initiative and what he did, but it basically is just clean water and education and things like that, the usual stuff. So that's guinea worm really in a nutshell. As I say, you don't get that many cases anymore, which is good, but they're pretty minging, and you don't want a case of guinea worm either. So
I would panic. I'd be wanting to rip it out myself.
And then it'd break, and then you'd get some weird infection.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Have to have your leg amputated or something.
I couldn't cope. See, if I've got even like a splinter, I'll dig a hole in my hand trying to get it out. It freaks me out like that. And I always remember, it's a really fucking dark story, but my dad had a brain tumour, and how calm he was about this thing in his brain killing him. And I think I'd be like trying to fucking open my head and dig it out. It would freak me out to think I had that growing in me. So if I'd be wanting to pull that worm out. I couldn't.
Yeah, just the thought of something like feeding off you is a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah.
Okay, then. So finally, on our whistle-stop tour of horrible parasitic worms, it's a famous one. This one, everyone knows this one. It's the tapeworm.
The tapeworm. I was hoping you would mention the tapeworm. Yeah, I'll let you go.
Everyone knows it. So it's a parasitic flatworm. They have a long ribbon-like body structure, and they rely on host organisms, particularly humans and other animals, to survive and reproduce. These parasites are known for their ability to cause a range of diseases, from mild discomfort to severe health issues. This depends on the species and the infection location of the infection. Again, they've been around for centuries, but modern medicine can effectively treat them.
Yeah.
The tapeworm is characterized by their flat, segmented bodies, which can grow to remarkable lengths and sometimes reaching up to 30 feet. And we've all seen the videos, haven't we?
Yeah.
Have you seen the videos? You can, if anybody is brave enough, there are videos of people pulling tapeworms out of their arse. I think you can find them somewhere.
Well, I've seen there's a place in Glasgow called the Huntarian Museum, and it's not really open to the public very often. They have special days and stuff like that, but it's all about the body and medicine. It's at the Glasgow University where they do medicine, one of the main places of medicine, and there's like a hole, like a head cut in half in a jar and stuff like that. They've got a big erect penis in a jar, actually.
Have they?
Yeah, and they've got one of the world's largest.
Is that why you went?
Oh yeah, never miss a visit, and just go and admire it. But but they've got a tapeworm there that's something like 8 or 9 meters long. It's all zigzagged in this big tank, and it's just think that was in someone is fucking horrible.
It's crazy. So what's that? So what's 30 feet in meters then?
30 feet is probably 10 meters, really. Yeah, 9.
Is it? Yeah. So
meters,
so it's a big one.
Yeah.
Just the thought of it. I mean, you could have one like right now.
You could, yeah.
You wouldn't even know about it. It's just in there.
I would. I'm too fat. You lose weight when you've got them, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah. So as I say, it's a big, long flatworm. It's got a segmented body. The head of the tapeworm is called the scolex,
Right.
And this is equipped with hooks and suckers, and this allows itself to attach to the intestinal wall.
Right.
So it sort of sucks nutrients and blood out of the host. The rest of the body is made up of segments called proglottidis, something like that, whatever. And this contains both male and female reproductive organs. And as the tapeworm grows, these sections, as they mature, they break off and release eggs, and they pass through the host's poo and then into the environment. So you can sort of picture that in your head.
Yeah.
There's a bit of the front stuck on this huge long tapeworm going all around your body, and then as it matures, it breaks off, comes out in your poo, and then another animal eats your poo or whatever, and then they've got it.
Have you ever read the Irvine Welsh book Filth? They made a film about it with James McAvoy.
Yeah, I think I've seen the film. I'm not sure if I've read it. If I did, it was a long time ago, though.
The book revolves around a tapeworm that's living in his body.
Oh, really?
And there's some chapters written from the tapeworm's point of view where it's just going, eat, eat, eat. I need you to eat. And like, basically, spoiler alert, if you watch the film, he hangs himself at the end.
Right.
And in the book, the tapeworm slides out of his dead arse once he's hung himself and dies on the floor.
And that doesn't happen in the film?
No.
That's a shame, because that's like the main bit, isn't it?
Yeah. The whole book revolves around this like tapeworm living in his body. But if you ever read Irvine Welsh's books, they're all a bit fucked up like that.
Yeah, good.
Great author.
So yeah, the tapeworm's life cycle involves an intermediate host, so typically livestock like pigs or cattle, and then a definitive host, which is often humans. So the intermediate host becomes infected by ingesting the tapeworm eggs through contaminated food or water. Once inside the intermediate host, the eggs hatch into larvae, which then migrates into various tissues, including muscles, and where they form cysts. And then humans become infected by consuming undercooked or raw meat from the infected animal.
Ew.
Yeah, so a pig will get it, goes into the muscle or whatever, then you eat a sausage and you've got it.
So when they say make sure you cook your meat properly, you could be eating plenty of dead tapeworm larvae because you've cooked it properly, but they're still there.
I guess so, yeah.
Cooking doesn't make them go away, it just means that they're dead.
Yeah, I don't know, they might break up though with the heat, who knows. But yeah, they're still effectively there, I guess.
That's fucking rank.
Yeah, vegetarians from now on.
Yeah, I'm nearly there. I'm nearly a vegetarian.
I like meat too much. I don't care. I'll just block this out. So there are several species of tapeworm that can infect humans, all with varying degrees of severity. The most common species, and there is a bit of a theme here. Obviously, they've got their Latin names. I think it's pronounced Tinea solium.
Right.
And this is a pork tapeworm. And then there's one that's a beef tapeworm, fish tapeworm. You know, and they've all got varying names. And then there's one called a dwarf tapeworm. So you can probably guess pork tapeworm comes from pork.
Yeah.
Beef, fish.
I'm waiting for the dwarf one. Dwarf
one. I'll have to have a look, actually. I think it's just a general one.
Oh, right.
So it spreads through eggs.
Oh, right.
So it's in eggs, yeah. So no one's safe. So raw eggs. I mean, loads of people eat raw eggs, don't they?
Yeah, or, undercooked eggs.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all pretty much the same. So basically you can get it from undercooked meat. So if you're having a barbecue, make sure you don't undercook your sausages because you might get a tapeworm.
Ew. I've read that, again, I don't want to step on your toes, that like models and stuff buy tapeworm eggs on the internet to swallow to help them lose weight.
Oh, I don't know about that. No, that's not in my notes.
That could be one of those myths that goes about. But how they eat like dish sponges and stuff to fill them up, but there's no nutritional value. But I've heard that you can. I'm gonna Google it.
You buy some. Oh no.
Yeah.
Tapeworm infections can be asymptomatic, or they can cause a range of symptoms,
Right.
Depending on the type of worm and type of infection.
Mm-hmm.
Commonly, it's abdominal pain, nausea and vomiting, diarrhea or constipation, a loss of appetite, or increased hunger, one or the other,
Right.
fatigue, weakness, malnutrition, and weight loss. In severe cases, particularly with the the pork tapeworm,
Mm-hmm.
the health consequences can be much more dangerous. It can actually migrate. So I mentioned the sort of bits break off,
Yeah.
sort of, and come out. Well, they can actually migrate into the brain in
Fucking hell.
some circumstances. And that causes seizures, headaches, vision problems, confusion, obviously, as it would.
Yeah.
And then it can lead to coma and death.
Fucking hell.
And then obviously you've got problems with intestinal blockages. If tapeworms get so big, it's just blocking everything.
Like you said they can be like 30 foot long. How do they manage to not get themselves tied up in a knot? That must happen. They're like all tangled up like Christmas lights.
I don't know, because it just kind of like, if you think about your intestines, it kind of does go, it's all wiggly, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so. It's like when you play Snake on your phone, you can't turn into yourself.
Yeah. I think they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
As before, tapeworm infections are most common in regions where sanitation is poor, and where livestock or fish are raised or prepared in unsafe conditions. Some key factors that contribute to transmission include, as we mentioned, undercooked meat, contaminated water, poor hygiene, so not washing your hands and things like that. That's pretty much it. And so just on treatment, if you're interested, just cook your food properly, wash your hands regularly. They can be treated. You don't have to live with it forever. You basically just take some stuff and it kills it, and you shit it out, like the videos that you're all definitely going to watch after this. So that's tapeworms. So you might have a tapeworm if you've got any of those symptoms. Hopefully not, because they're pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
And that concludes this week's episode on worms.
A lovely episode, James. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel a bit grim. I've not had my tea yet either. I'm a bit like, I'll wait for a bit.
Look at some black steak because you've cooked it for about 15 minutes.
Like, pork chops.
I mean, do we need to put a warning at the start of this to say, by the way, this is rank?
I don't think so. That's kind of like the nature of the beast, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, true.
People come here to listen to interesting things about horrible stuff. So,
I mean,
you have it.
The episode is going to be called Worms, so I mean, good luck to you if you think that that's going to be about anything different.
Yeah. I mean, these aren't the nice sort of lovely earthworms that help with your garden. Worms. Yeah. So, what can I say about that? It's grim. It's horrible. They look disgusting as well. Maybe you could put some pictures up on the Facebook or something, because they're just horrible.
And, we'll see what I can get.
Usually they're kind of quite small. Obviously, some of them grow to quite a big, sort of like 12 inches, 30 foot. So they're not, but they're just like the tapeworm. It's just a big long ribbon. So it doesn't really look like anything. But when you think about what it actually is, it's like, that's been inside someone.
Why does it need to be so long?
I don't know. Just nature, isn't it?
I mean, what's in it from like head to toe? Is it just one big long esophagus or something?
Well, like I say, bits break off, don't they? So the longer it is, the more chance it's got of reproducing. Maybe. I
suppose so.
Yeah, more bits will break off. So
while we're still on, I sent you that video.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So look at the second one I sent you, because it's shorter and more to the point. These are like basically these worms that get inside insects and live in them, and then make them throw themselves in water, and the worms come out in the water.
Oh, right. Okay, he's just putting it in now.
It's
praying mantis. Yeah. He's got a glass of water. Got some tweezers. It's not too late to close the video. Okay.
Yeah.
He's just dropping him in. And... oh, wow, that's crazy.
You wonder where that all comes from inside that.
Yeah.
This.
Well, is it two of them? Or just...
two, I think, yeah.
Oh, God. Is it like... oh, that's freaky. That is like alien stuff, man.
It is.
It's a big worm.
Yeah.
An iron wire worm.
Mm.
Well, thanks for that.
I'll put that video on the Facebook page.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyone wants to see it.
I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
So, yeah, there we go. Worms, halfway through nature.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll come back next week with your final selection, I suppose.
Yeah, I've already chosen it. I'm not going to tell anyone what it is now, but I kind of mentioned it to you. I think it should be quite good.
Yeah, excellent. All right, well, in that case, I think that's everything.
Excellent.
Is there anything else from you this week? No,
nothing else from me. I need to go and release these dogs from this blackened cage that I've put them in to keep them quiet and
release the hounds.
Yeah, release the hounds.
Wicked. All right. Well, thank you very much, Fraser. It's nice to see you again, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, James. Take care. See ya.
All right. Thanks, listeners. Bye-bye.
Bye.